Hi, let me first of all apologise. It's been a couple of weeks since the last update I did on the magnetic pole shift and pole shift news. Before we get into this one, I want to quickly thank those people who have contributed towards this research over the last couple of weeks. Super big thanks to you guys. So, we've covered a few things, mid-Atlantic ridges. We looked at how we determine the time intervals between pole shift reversals, and in this video what I wanted to concentrate on is what is the big deal with the magnetic pole shift for those people that aren't fully aware of what the implications are. So let's begin then. Well, the last magnetic pole reversal was 780,000 years ago. We've got no historical documentation going back to that point in time as to tell us or give us an idea as to what went on, other than what geophysicists and geologists have determined, and if they've determined it correctly in the history, in the methods that they've used to determine those ideas or conclusions that they've come to rely on over the years. So, just let's recap. It's a rare event. Prior to it happening 780,000 years ago, on average, it used to occur every 350,000 years. So, it took a long time before it went through another magnetic reversal. It went nearly another 300,000 years or so more than it usually does on a regular occurrence. One of the implications of this is if we look at what happened to Mars, how that lost its atmosphere. We know that it doesn't have a magnetic pole at the moment, but in its history, through the study of sending spacecraft to Mars and surveying the Martian terrain, we know that where these impact craters are, that there was in recent times where fresh impact craters have happened. We've uncovered the dirt, and we've seen that there was at that point in time beneath the soil magnetic alignments in the materials that make up those impact craters. So we know that at some point it did have a magnetic reversal. We also know at some point it had an atmosphere, and we also know through some research that at some point it had liquid water on its atmosphere. So it could have quite easily have been a planet very similar to our own. And the point is that it's no longer got a magnetic field. And some of the research that I've conducted over the years suggests that this is probably one of the major planetary mechanics in survivable worlds, where we have plenty of diversities of species of biological life forms. I believe that if you was in the business of building planets, then the magnetic poles would be first and foremost a consideration, especially if you at some point wanted to incorporate living bioforms on that planet. You would have to have some form of magnetic poles, dipoles, at the North and South Pole, and you would have to, therefore, as a result of the magnetic poles, have a magnetosphere, and that's important in protecting the biolife forms from harmful cosmic rays that coming from other parts of the universe, and and also solar rays, solar radiation. So, it's very important that we have a magnetosphere. Now, there's a really interesting video and a documentary that was professionally done, uploaded onto the website. I'll leave a link down there in the comment section so that you can have a look at that professional video. I think it was done by a company called Nova, and it explains how things are changing with Earth, and we don't know at this point whether the Earth is going to complete a magnetic reversal this time round. But what we do know is for the last 100 years the magnetic poles have been migrating. And this is a sign to scientists like myself, that the Earth is beginning to go through another magnetic reversal. Now, I've done a lot of independent research on the magnetic pole. It's been, a passion of mine for many years. Most of you that have been following me on this channel and the previous channel know that it's the main topic of discussion on the channel. Although sometimes we do, digress into other subjects briefly, but the main topic is the magnetic pole reversal. So, like I say, for the last 100 years it's been migrating in a pretty much straight line. As it's been migrating, there has been 3 occasions where it has increased speed towards Siberia. As you can see the direction of these pins, they're nice and straight up until the point of recently, a couple of years ago, where it took a bit of a diversion and started to travel southeasterly, and we can see from this pin mark here. Now, this was taken from the Russian icebreaker ship, the Victory, which is a nuclear icebreaker, and it takes passengers out, and its sole purpose of taking passengers out to this is to get them to the top of the Earth. And in order to do so, it chose the geomagnetic North Pole as an indication that they're there. So although it's a passenger ship and it's going about its business with its tourism, it has given us an indication recently, or at least an accurate pinpoint location of where it is at the 25th of the 8th, the 6th, 2014, when it went out there. And I don't know whether some of you have seen on the previous video on YouTube I've done, or one of them, we're there watching the captain align the magnetic North Pole up smack on the GPS coordinates, so we could track exactly where it was, and that's where we got this pin mark from. But the main point here is that up until 2007, the only person that was going out on the ice was Larry Newt from the Canadian Geological Survey. What he would do was organise a twin-engine Otter aircraft to take him out, land him on the ice, because these aircraft are specially designed for short takeoffs and short runways, so that they can get him onto a bit of ice, and he would do a reading there and then on whereabouts the magnetic North Pole was. But the problem is, from 2007, it was migrating that far from Canada. It was putting the aircraft that he was using out of the range. So when I stumbled on the Victory, the nuclear Russian icebreaker, obviously I've shown a big interest and kept following up on that. And I have been in touch with the company. What is the company's name? Poseidon, sorry. And I'll be trying to find out those missing pegs from 2014 to the present day, so we can find out what the magnetic North Pole is. But what struck me about the position of where the Victory was on the 25th of the 6th, 2014, was a large deviation. Let's just measure how far that was in miles from its current vector. It's 232 miles, as you can see there. So it's deviated, and the fact that it's no longer tracking in a single vector tells me that something else has happened to the geomagnetic North Pole at the present time. And I believe we could be getting close to this 40-degree mark that I've talked about before, based on experiments, when we see a strong magnetic fix on a North Pole, and we introduce a weakened field to it. What we see it do when it migrates the needle around 40 degrees is it enters the weak field lines. And when it enters the weak field lines, the magnetic poles reverse very quickly. I've said before that on the scale of planetary sizes, the inertias are very slow. So even though we see in a laboratory, the compass moving very quickly through the weak field lines, that wouldn't be the case for the Earth. And if we just take out a few of the bits of research that's been currently done and is documented in that documentary on Nova on the website, if you want to go and have a look at that, you'll see that they found that the magnetic pole had gone through a temporary reversal around 41,000 years ago, and whilst it was going through its magnetic reversal, it went through it very quickly, and I think it went through it in a matter of less than a month. So if the Earth is capable of doing it then in less than a month, there shouldn't be no reason why this isn't the trend in which it follows through when going through normal magnetic anomalies such as the pole migration. Now, in the next video I want to talk a little bit more about Monsanto and its part in what I believe what is taking place with the geological changes right now. And most of you are aware of these. Even some of the politicians and world leaders have talked about them. You might recall a year ago, 500 days to climate chaos. Well, we're already there. We're already seeing some of the geological changes on a grand scale. It shouldn't come to a surprise to most of you that have been following the channel to know that the volcanic eruptions are increasing. The earthquakes are increasing in magnitude as well as frequency. Tornadoes, floods, droughts, all these things are increasing, and these things are not just commonly assigned to specific continents like they was when in a fixed climate. They turn up now in random areas that they've never been there prior to this. So there are massive geological changes, and by far we are not at the worst. What we are going to be going through in the not too distant future, just to keep it short, I'd rather spend a bit more time in the next video talking about this, is a lot more changes with regards to our solar system directly as a result of the sun and its connection with the Earth and the magnetosphere weakening. We know it's over 20% at the moment, so this is something that's going to continue to weaken and could go down as low as even 5% during the magnetic reversal. What implications this has on biological lives, some of you may already be aware of. It's highly cancerous cosmic particles as they bang into the deoxyribonucleic acid, or the DNA, in your blood cells and other body tissues. It can damage the DNA within it. Some of you might have recalled that I've talked about astronauts, especially during the Apollo missions, were taking antioxidants to slow down the cellular reproduction, so that it would give their cells that might have been damaged through not having the protection of the magnetosphere of the Earth whilst out at that belt, an opportunity for it to recover, because it was the antioxidation tablets would slow down the reproduction process of cells, and therefore damaged DNA could have an opportunity to repair. And it's when you get damaged DNA that you get cancers. So that's why we struggle, in science, to come up with a cure for cancer, because really there are so many cancers for every different part of the tissue of the body that you could be unlucky to get a cancer in any of those tissues, such as liver cells, basically any organ in your body cells, skin cells, etc., etc. So it's something that science has been trying to battle with, but to have an understanding of the size of the problem is that you can't just find a cure that repairs one particular cell, and because it may not work with other particular cells. But the antioxidants was something NASA came up with, as a result of a block protection, and that's what they give the astronauts. Well, during a magnetic reversal, we're going to be subjected to the same conditions as what those astronauts was, and we're going to be equally at the risk of what they was as well. And not only ourselves are going to be at the risk, but also all the other biodiversity of species and organisms on this planet during that time. If we just go back to Mars and look at it at its present day, there may well be some discoveries around the ice caps of living biological life forms. There may be some underground reservoirs where the water has not vaporized off the surface, and therefore, as we find in deep caves on the planet Earth, we may well find that there are these deep underground caverns on Mars, and it still contains microbiological life forms. There may be, close to hot thermal vents in these caves. They may be underground reservoirs and lakes. And like we do on this planet, we have chemo autotrophs that thrive around these volcanic black smokers down on the Atlantic ridges. And they thrive because of the heat, and they manage to, go about their life converting, sugars into energy, and they've managed to sustain themselves in these dark, deep, high pressurized regions, and they've thrived very well there. They also thrive, I'm not going to try and digress too much, but they also thrive at volcanic vents on the surface as well as underwater. So there is a lot of places we can find life on Mars. So I wanted to talk about Monsanto, what they've been trying to do as a result of the changing climate, and how they've succeeded or failed. I wanted to talk about a little bit more about the seed vault, because obviously we know that there is some form of preparation taking place, and that it could well be because of the Earth is going to experience some massive changes, and as a result of introducing this probably emergency and contingency plan with Monsanto, they may well have justified the reason for the seed bank, in Svalbard. So, guys, plenty to come. The subject's hot still. The research goes on. Big thanks to those people that support this channel. What we're doing here, and what you're doing by supporting the channel, is aiding other people to become aware of this. It's a big topic. It should be, something that everybody is aware of, but only to my awareness, a very small percentage of people, probably less than 1% of the 7 billion souls on this planet. So this is very, very important that, the awareness of this gets out, because there are things, no matter what happens, there are things always that can be done in forms of preparation. We've seen the director of NASA, we've seen, chief executives of NOAA, coming out telling people to be prepared. So, what I'm saying is, right, you no longer have to feel, that if you're a prepper in, in for some sort of event like the pole shift news, for the geomagnetic pole shift, or any other, let's just take Katrina, how that affected their way of life in that area. The thing is, you're no longer a conspiracy theorist, and you shouldn't think yourself as a conspiracy nut, because I guarantee you, the moment you go for your bug out bag or your supply of food will be the moment you have secured your future survival, not anything else. And you will know that it's your insurance plan for your family at that point, and especially at the point where you look around you and see those people that aren't prepared for any event or any possible natural disaster. So, again, thanks for those people that do support the channel. You know what you're supporting. You're supporting further research into this. We build equipment on this channel as well, which we're still efforting ourselves to get up and running, and that gives us a true accurate heading of the magnetic North Pole as and when it moves. We're also going to integrate sensors to monitor the magnetosphere strength weakening, so we can give at least some form of heads up at that point in time when we feel it has entered those weak field lines. So that's what you support, guys. I'm going to leave it here because I didn't want the video to go on this long, and in future it's certainly something I'm going to try and avoid, long videos, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I understand that you are interested in the topic, and you obviously have other things to do in your day, so I'll try and keep the video times down. It'd be nice if people would consider supporting the channel. The link's always down there, guys, and I can only say, it's nice to know other people are with me in this, and I can't thank those people that have supported the channel to this point. It's been a great encouragement, if nothing else. So, guys, apologies for the time it's taken to do this video. Hopefully in the next few days we'll have another one out, and we'll be talking about Svalbard Seed Bank, Monsanto, and a few other things, guys. So stay tuned, and as always, you enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll say what I usually do. Bye for now.